Rael,
Good
hello.
evening. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to the Light Code Portal podcast. I'm your host, Rahel Burhani, Assistant Dean of Education for Light Language University, and I'm here today with Anna Norris, the founder of Light Language University. Our topic tonight is going to be about what do we know about protection? But before we begin, I would want to start by mentioning a little bit about our university logo and mission statement. So, the triangle on our logo represents the mind, body, and spirit. The circle represents the dimensions and using the multidimensional beings. And the golden phoenix represents the human being rising up from the ashes of the old Piscean age into the new age of the Aquarius. And the small triangle represents the shift that is happening on the planet where all ascending into the consciousness of the heart chakra of love and into the Aquarian age out of the solar plex that rules the Piscean age. And our mission statement is to inspire others who are awakening and to aid in the imminent growth of conscious awareness of being multidimensional. So, our topic tonight is what do we know about protection? So, good evening, Anna. How are you doing today?
Hello, and
Welcome.
and thank you for having me. And Elizabeth, thank you for joining us tonight.
No
You kind of
problem.
speaker.
Yes,
Thanks
and
for
Elizabeth.
having me tonight.
Yes.
Yay. So, we have a wonderful topic today. So exciting. So, let's begin. So,
Wonderful.
our first question is what is the best way to protect you, myself?
So, what is the best way to protect? And as we know, and I'm going to bring you. I would like to discuss this with you guys. What do you do, Elizabeth, when you're protecting yourself?
Actually, I just raise my energy. I bring my energy above the heart line. So
Wonderful.
that's really all I do. I
Mhm.
don't use crystals. I don't use a rosary. I don't use a cross. I just raise my energy level up and
And know how to raise your frequency. What
right.
about you, Elle? What do you do when you're raising your frequency?
Right now, raising my frequency, I use the golden light. I bring in a golden light into my room or into myself and I expand it out into the room to where it just clears and then it also protects. And that's what I use now
And we
as
and don't need it for protection because you're raising your frequency and it helps to go and as Elizabeth said above the heart line. So we use that, right? We teach this in 102, what you're talking about. Am I
hmm
correct?
yeah,
Yes.
that's correct.
I, actually 101. They're correcting me. I'm hearing 101. So so anyway, yes. And we also use the tool, right? With the cross, where we cross in
hmm
and the highest frequency is unconditional love, because I want to go back to what Elizabeth said, which is really good. We use unconditional love as the highest frequency, which means what is what is unconditional love? Can somebody give me the definition of unconditional love? It, it's funny because we all know what it means. It's hard to articulate it, right? So I cheated. I asked the guys, I said, what you know me? How do I say that? And they said, well, very simple. It's to love without exception.
Mm.
So when we love something without exception, and we love it with our whole being, that raises our frequency. And when we look at unconditional love as one of the highest frequencies in the universe, our universe, and then
hmm
we down to
hmm
the heart line is what Elizabeth was talking about. So unconditional love is up here, and we go down below this heart line. Then the lowest, what is the lowest, um, what is that lowest frequency? Remember?
Fear.
Fear. Very good. Excellent. And all those emotions between the heart line, above the heart line are, let's come up with some emotions like joy, peace, love. You guys have some to add?
hmm
Happy,
hmm
spontaneous. which is tonight,
Happiness.
laughter, all that. And then below,
Laughing. Laughter. Yeah.
just laughing, yes, that raises the frequency. And below, we have the negative, right? So the negative is anger, jealousy. What else?
Mm-hmm.
Hate,
Fear.
right? Fear,
Hate.
apathy, all those. And there's so many
Um,
above this heart line. And so those emotions are dropping us and they're making us go up and down. And when we're in a place where we need grief is down here. And when we need feel like we need to protect ourselves, we're down here. And
mm-hmm.
that all darkness, all energies that are resonating in this frequency or this dimension are
Mm-hmm.
makes us afraid because we're in this below the heart line. And what Elizabeth was saying is that when we raise our, just by laughing, Gandhi, he laughed at the end of his life because it raised his frequency. It's that simple. And yet it's that hard because some people have trouble raising their frequencies. And so that's why we have oils that can help remind the aura, which is not magic, it's science. And so we can
Mm-hmm.
raise our frequency through that. But we want to get to a point where we don't use protection. And it's not really protection, it's really about raising the frequency. Because when we need
Okay.
protection, and what is, I think the number one rule, somebody tell me what the number one rule in the universe is. Remember?
Like attracts like.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
perfect. And we know that from manifestation, right? 101 manifestation, that if you want something, you have to match the energy, and everything in the universe matches. So if we need protection, did you hear what I said? I
Yeah.
protection. And so I'm still stuck down here. And if I put something around me, eventually it dissipates and I'm still stuck down here and those energies are still going to
Mm-hmm.
stick on me. So if I can raise my frequency, it doesn't exist in these higher levels. And so that's something that we kind of learn about this tool. We call it what do we call this? The tone scale.
The
Because,
top scale.
yes, the tone scale. Because it's about frequency. It's about the tone. It's about the energy, the frequency that we have. So it's really important, I think, for people, and especially you can use this with children, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can teach this
Right.
to children and show them where they are on the tone scale. And when they're afraid, you can teach them how to raise their frequency. And that's something I think that we don't even talk about, or we don't share that with our children. We hold them, we protect them, but we don't teach them how to manage. There's a couple of things to manage their own emotions and how to pull their
Yes.
energy down.
Yes.
And I think we had talked, Rael, you had talked to some people, and um, I have a reputation for not liking to use tools because my guides call them toys. I'm not against them, and I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Toys
Yes.
are great. I love those. And they're tools as well. But
Right.
the way that we teach light languages, we want to get everyone there so that they don't have to use something outside of themselves because everything is right inside them. So if they can learn how to manage that. And yes, sometimes we need stones. And the stones, these beautiful quartz stones are, uh, was it black tourmaline, which is really good for people who want to raise frequency or change their energy. It has a frequency vibration that matches us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have a hole, we're got fear because we have fear because we're below this heart line. This
Mm-hmm.
stone has a different, and it reminds us to be above. And when we bring it into our field, it's showing our field how to match the energy because everything in the universe is about matching. So it's not that the rock or the stone has saved us. All it's done is reminded the light language in our aura and our spirit how to match and how to fix ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
make ourselves. And then you can put the stone away and you can start working with your energies. And I think that's kind of where we are with light language. We want to get people in their power. so that they learn how to use it. It's a tool, but then you put it away when you start to master it. And that's,
But I think most people, it tends to become a crutch.
yes, yes, exactly.
You
And,
rely on that stone, and all of a sudden I'm somewhere and I don't have my stone. I don't have my oils. I don't,
right. And then you're in
And then
trouble.
the
Right.
fear. Then you're in panic, and then then
And then you're going down again.
yeah, now I'm down here.
You're down here again.
And you're really in trouble.
Right.
Yes. So
Very,
that is light language.
that is light
That is
language.
basically the
Yes.
is
And I think,
stepping into your power is light language. Knowing your language is light language. So you can match what you want to attract. So that
yes.
is
And
And
it's
all,
okay.
powerful.
So we have our second.
and all the teachers
Go
teach
ahead,
mindfulness.
Annie.
Well, all the teachers teach mindfulness. So the other part of it is when we get into a situation, we either go down with the ship or we step into our power and we go, okay, how does this work? Do we stay here and go down with
Mm-hmm.
the ship, stay down here? And then, like you said, Elizabeth, you guys, that was a really good example. Or do we start to remember how to work within ourselves, to raise our frequency, to match those higher frequencies, to step in? And once you get up here, everything's like Teflon. It just falls away. You're like Teflon, and you feel the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't. And I want to go in. People with curses. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she was worried about a curse because somebody had told her that there was a curse on her.
That's actually our next question.
Is
Do I
it?
need to worry about curses? Yes. It's a great subject. Continue.
So
Do I need to worry about curses?
what's the answer?
No, step into your power.
Yes,
So that still falls under fear.
it does. It does. And we, as human beings, we get into this thinking, and then we get into the fear, and then we create more of that. And how much, you guys remember in Light Language 101, how much are we conscious?
Mm-hmm.
It's 1 to 5%. So that
Yeah.
other 99 to 95% we're unconscious. So we have that snapback that we talk about.
Right.
Conscious.
Right.
It's really, and we call this flickering when we go back and forth, right? It's like, I always think of a concert.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm
Yes.
curious.
Most of the time we're unconscious. Mhm.
I'm curious. Any stories that you guys have where you've had to raise your frequency, or you've had to use the tools that we kind of, those are just some of the tools we teach. But have you had that experience where you walked into something very scary or very controversial, and you had to step in consciously and hold the mindfulness of that awareness, but also know what's going around here and hold your power?
I think I have stepped into a situation where protection was talked about and curses, and there was people that were afraid they're being cursed, and you, of course, you go along into the story and you start to believe, and fear starts to set in. And at that moment, I realized it's my choice to continue to and be just fall down and go along that road, or to step out. And the moment, it's not only for myself, but the moment I stepped out of that situation, realized I'm just being dragged into it, I'm falling into fear, and I stepped into my light, a couple of people left with me. So not did I only affect myself and pull myself out of that situation, I stepped also for others to step out and come out of that fear with me. So we left that situation.
Mm.
So what happened with them, I don't know afterwards if they would do a snap back. But at that moment, I carried on that light and brought. I left and they left with me. So that shows you that when you you're not only responsible for yourself, you also drug others, or you can also empower others, bring them out.
Wow.
So light language, amazing.
Beautifully
Once
said.
you conquer fear and you understand the fear, and you just have to test it. Once you're in a fearful situation, in this cursing and protection and the unseen and the things that you're afraid of, once you just face it, you are totally stepping out. But when you don't face it and when you don't confront it, you're still going to be locked down and just, holding yourself with fear. So that's the experience I had. And after that, there was no fear.
Very
Yes,
powerful.
you're right. It falls out. You just like, oh, it just becomes nonsense.
That's an excellent example. Excellent example.
So our next question would be, what happens if I shield myself?
So if you shield yourself, what happens, guys? ladies, sorry. If we shield ourselves, and energy, I like to always say energy has to flow, right? So when you shield yourself,
Yes.
this is what happens. So
Hmm.
that can be really not good.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes. Nothing flows.
And I think that's isn't that kind of more of a Piscean thing?
By age.
Thought to protect
Hmm.
and thought to shield.
You have to shield. You have to wear these necklaces. You have to have all these rocks with you. Um, I'm sure some people also go with their saging and always have a sage in your bag. Um, Still afraid to go into new houses without saging. It's all, yes, the Piscean age
To do
of
that.
the protection, for gun protection.
I love sage. It smells amazing. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to. Yeah, I don't. The smoke makes me, I don't do
Mm-hmm.
well. But I love the sage, the smell.
Yeah, I do
Mm-hmm.
too. Every now and then, my
Yes.
son will be like, "You haven't saged in a while," because he likes it too. So I'll just get it out and just so we can smell it.
Yeah.
Kind of
It
incense.
does smell good.
It does smell good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
So,
like what you brought in. You're talking a little bit about, we can use the physical things, tools. We're just kind of
hmm
remembering, like with your example, that it's all within us.
hmm and it's okay sometimes if it reminds you to step into your power. It's just, you can use it as a reminder. I love my stones. I love my rocks. They're beautiful. I have them all around my house. Now they're decoration. Now they've become decoration. But honestly, before I stepped into my life, I understood like language. It was bought for different reasons. It was bought for I bought them for healing. I bought them for calmness. I bought them for the house. I had some for by my bedside for sleeping. But um, now I don't need them. But I could see what they are now. You can use that power. You can just merge into it, and they're wonderful. So our next question is, as an empath, I can't help to pick up other people's negative. I do pick up other people's negative things. So how do I protect myself from them?
I'm going to put you on the spot, Rael, because this is something you've conquered and you've done really well at it. You're really one of those. Yeah. You want to share that?
Well, it falls the same way as, yes, before I used to go to anywhere I go, especially grocery stores or anywhere else, I used to just ache and I used to complain about people, or I would just, if there's someone angry, I'll just feel that sense and I'll react to it. I was just riding the current with whatever they were going at, I was going and I would bring that home. Um, but afterwards, after learning, stepping into your power and how to do your light and golden light and empowering yourself, I realize I have the choice. I have the choice to go and pick up what they bring me, what they're feeling unconsciously, or I can be conscious at that moment and not absorb it. In fact, give them, even send them light, give them light. Now, you walk consciously, you walk responsibly now. Instead of picking up the things and complaining on and hurting, now I would love to affect and help beyond just feeling for myself, beyond complaining for myself. So the best way you could do is be aware of it at that moment when you are picking up something from someone else. Be conscious, conscious. Wherever you go is consciousness. So you're not gonna avoid people's feelings. You're not gonna avoid people's anger. People are all around you, and you're not gonna hide away from people. So if you step into your power and know you are sensing something, oh, this is not mine. Ask the question, is this mine or is it not mine? So if it's not yours, raise your frequency consciously. It's just a second thing. You raise your frequency, you even affect whatever's around you. So that is what I do now. Just
That's
affect what's around me,
that's awesome.
right?
And another thought to add to that too, and another something that we talk about is to step and be the observer, to to
Yeah.
disconnect from the energy and become the observer and release. That's what's not. And again, like you said, that it's not conscious, um, but to become conscious and allow whatever is that's
Mm-hmm.
not ours to let go. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, did
Mm-hmm.
you share? Did you have a story?
Mine is very similar to Rael's. Um, almost exactly. I had I
Yeah.
yeah, it was sort of mind blowing to me when I learned all of this in 101 and 102, how, how easy it
Yeah.
was to not get sucked up into everybody else's stuff
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
and things I thought were my aches and pains and my emotions were not at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and just that simple question, is this mine? And no, it's not. And you're like, "Oh, okay." I mean, it's that
Mm-hmm.
simple.
Very.
Whereas before it's like stones in my pockets and, oils
Yes.
all over and
Yes.
so yeah, to just
Yeah.
have that simple way to not be in that energy and get sucked up into that and just remain calm and above the heart line. And
mm,
it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
yeah.
It is.
It helps us
Yes.
move through. So, and I think we did a segment. I think we did a segment on empaths. I know we did a
Yes.
lot. Of things. And one of the things, what we've been taught, is to protect ourselves and hold everything in. But again, energy is flowing, so you want to keep energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, it starts to beat down, your field, and you want to keep it moving. So this is just another way. And the whole movement that we're going into this higher frequency of ascension is teaching us to raise our frequency and recognizing we're always connected. But how we check in and how we work with other people, or how we, like you said, when we're walking into a room, we don't have to participate, or we can participate. We can open up and participate in it, or we can become. Then that goes in those four levels of consciousness that we talked about as well.
Yes. Yes. So the next thing would be, what are some ways, some things that I need to do to protect myself if I can't raise my frequency? And this one would be for you, Anna.
Other for me. Well, and we thank you. But we also mentioned it. It's training wheels. So remember that your rocks, the oils, those things at the stage, they're just training wheels. So you
Yes.
can bring them in, but be mindful that they are just reminding your spirit anatomy how to raise its frequency. And if you sit with the sage, or you sit with a stone, if you're stone people, we know we have stone people, we have oil people, and we have earth people, and But whatever it is that you feel drawn to, because everybody's different,
Mhm.
and you sit with the
Mhm.
energy, it's not about the physical manifestation of that energy. It's about the frequency of the energy. And we can match that energy within ourselves. And it happens on that unconscious level. And when we sit with it, we become that. And then when you don't need it, I had a teacher, she's amazing. She's come back into my life. She's been out of my life.
Mhm.
We'd be shopping and she'd say, Anna, do you have an aspirin? You know, we'd be out doing something. And she's like, do you have an aspirin? I've got a headache. And I'm like, no, because I don't carry aspirin in my purse. And she said, never mind. And she would bring the energy of Tylenol and then she would merge it into her frequency and then the headache would go away.
Mhm.
She had mastered that. She's a practitioner and she's an NAT practitioner and that's what they do. They work with those frequencies. And so she had taken it to the next level. We can do that. And that's
Mhm.
again how we work with our anatomy. So it's an excellent tool.
Okay. Now, how long would it take someone to transition from um, using the training wheels into using their frequency? And how long do you think a person can transition from one end to the other?
And is that a question for me?
Yes, that's a question for you.
I think that's going to be different for each person because depending on how that works for them. And the way you test it is, you know, let's say that you have a stone and
Mhm.
nightmares. So you're using let's use black tourmaline. It's really good for nightmares and such. Quick story: my son used to have nightmares. This is how I know it works. And he didn't
Mhm.
believe anything that we're talking about. And every night he would
Mhm.
just wake up in the dark circles and he just felt terrible and he had nightmares. So my daughter and I, we found black tourmaline and we put it under his mattress. And then the next morning, he's eating his cereal and I said, hey, honey, how did you sleep? And he said, oh, I did fine. He looked rested. He looked like he was doing well. And we had put the energy in there, right? So
Right.
the story is it works no matter if you don't have to believe it. It works. It
Okay.
works. Now you can't disconnect it. You know, if
Mhm.
he knew about it, then when he got mad at us, he disconnected. But what was cool is after a week or so, we pulled the stove out from under his bed, and his body had adjusted, and he was able to go
Mhm.
hold that space. So I think that's different for each person. You know, it might take a week, a day, an hour. Somebody may be able to hold a stone and have transformation right there, just depending on where they are in the
I see.
path. Any thoughts?
So,
Anything you want to add or thoughts?
no, it's well said. Like you can use the frequent. I mean, you can use the training wheels. You can still use um, the things. If, whether you believe it or not, it works. It's a frequency, it's energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do believe that too. So, this is our other question. What? Let's see. If someone does, I think you answered it, but we need to say it. But if someone does a curse on you, can you send it back to them?
Yes, you can
Now,
send it.
where does that fall?
Well, yes, you can send it back, but I would not recommend it. Even though someone sends you negative energy, it's going to come back. It's going to create
Mhm.
7 times longer. And if you send it back to them, it's going to go back to them 7
Mhm.
times stronger for them, and then it's going to go
Mhm.
7 times. It's going to come back to you. So we're doing this, the ping pong thing.
Mm.
So one of the things that we
Right.
and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So and that's how curses can work, and they have very strong, powerful because we are just going back and forth like ping pong. But what we
Mhm.
learned is that we can transmute energy, which we talked about. This is transmutation. Is talking about raising our frequency are changing it. So without protecting ourselves, because then we're not working on the problem, right? We're actually
Mm-hmm.
just creating more of that problem. We're delaying the problem. We're ignoring the problem. But if we can transmute the energy and send love, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I've heard master teachers say, love thy enemies. And we're going, wait, I'm mad at them. I don't feel like I want to love them right now. I'm really angry. Well, go work on your anger, then come back, forgive. And I think that's what we're going to be talking about in the next one is forgiveness. It's very powerful. Forgive, change the energy, the frequency that's coming in, change it into this love, and send that back. Because guess what? It's going to come back 7 times stronger, even if they don't accept it.
Wow.
It's very powerful. Yeah,
So it will never be resolved. It will just grow.
you will grow. And of course, the other
Right.
person who created this curse, they have the choice, to accept it or to change. But again, we're learning how powerful we are.
Right.
Elizabeth, did you want to add to that, Elizabeth? Um,
No, I was going to say the transmute it to love and send the love back.
yeah.
That's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing is to laugh. Because we take
Mm-hmm.
life way too seriously. And I think what happens is we forget to laugh. We forget to smell the roses. And things happen. Life is life. This world is not an easy one. No, I have to walk up those stairs every day to go to my office. Trudge up the stairs. It's so easy in spirit just to think, okay, I'm laying in bed going, I'm there. I'm working. Physically go get dressed and walk up the stairs. You start
Right.
to get off the stairs. So I think
Yeah.
this is something we're learning to step in our power.
Well, that's a good lesson for today. Basically, that's what we need to do. Protection, raise your frequency. Is that right? That
Yeah.
concludes it. What? Well, before Anna, I want to thank you for being here today and
Mhm.
answering our questions. We appreciate that. And our next meetup is going to be our next subject. Actually, is going to be about forgiveness. It's a very interesting question. Next live podcast would be on a Wednesday, April 6th and 7 p.m. Central Time. And well, I want to thank you everyone for joining us today on the Light Code Portal for tonight. So we have some upcoming events. Let's talk. Would like to tell you on on April 23rd and 24th, we have a shamanic workshop classes for with light language university. And April 30th and May 1st, we have a light language 101 workshop. We also have a study group for 101 and 102 on April the 12th at 7 p.m., which is via Zoom. And that's the best part. And we have new to all these classes as well, which is April 13 and 27 at 7 p.m. For our clinic, we had Light Language University has a clinic online, which is going to do medical intuitives on April the 11th and April 25th. And we have Spirit Rescue on April 18th. And our next Light Core Portal is also, I said that already, is on April 20th. It's about forgiveness. It's going to be live on Facebook at 7:30 Central Standard. And thank you, everyone. And please visit our ambassador store, which is Miracle of Joy. And thank you, everyone, for tonight. We'll see you next time.